Another thing that would help transition a penetration tester to senior status would be to have years of experience doing different types of penetration tests, whether it's network penetration testing, web application penetration testing, API penetration testing, or ICS, SCADA, or IoT penetration testing. Someone that has well-rounded skills would help them transition from a regular penetration tester role to a senior penetration tester role.
Hi, I'm Kyser Clark, and welcome to The Hacker's Cache, the show that decrypts the secrets of offensive security one bite at a time. Every week I invite you into the world of ethical hacking by interviewing leading offensive security practitioners. If you are a penetration tester, bug bounty hunter, red teamer, or blue teamer who wants to better understand the modern hacker mindset, whether you are new or experienced, this show is for you. Hello, welcome to the Hacker's Cache. My name is Kyser Clark, the host of the show. If you don't know who I am, I have 6 years experience in the field. I have 12 certifications. I have a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. I'm currently working on my master's degree in cybersecurity, and I am a full-time penetration tester. Today, I have Val Vask, who has spent 18 years as an intelligence analyst. 10 of those years was active duty, so thank you for your service. Val, I really do appreciate your service to this country. You spent 2 years in cyber defense. You spent 2 years as a part-time college professor, and you have spent about 5 years now as a senior penetration tester / team lead / program manager for penetration testing and red teaming. So go ahead and unpack some of that experience that I just mentioned and introduce yourself to the audience.
So yes, thank you, Kyser. And I've been around for like 20 years. None of those years were 9 to 10 years, close to 10 years were in the Navy active duty, where I was an intelligence analyst and language analyst, doing a lot of initially a lot of SIGINT or signals intelligence, and then I moved on to cyber threat intelligence, doing offensive operations, which is what got me into offensive security. From there, I kind of moved on to cybersecurity in general, and then in counterintelligence. And I moved into cyber threat intelligence, doing incident response. And at that point, I actually had an opportunity to be a red teamer, and because of my certifications. And this was for a government agency. And that's what got me really into red teaming and penetration testing. It was kind of like really like going into the fire immediately. It was a lot of reading, a lot of practice. I have to say I used Hack the Box a lot. That helped me out a lot. But ultimately, there were courses that are out there now that I didn't have access to back in 2013, and so I had to do a lot of reading at that time. I was a lead for several years doing penetration testing and red teaming for both the private sector and the government sector, and I also did a stint as a BCISO for another organization, and ultimately I reverted back to penetration testing and red teaming, which is what I really like. And right now, I'm in a government organization as the lead and managing a team of penetration testers and red teamers.
Nice. Yeah, your background is super impressive. It's quite amazing. One thing I did forget to mention in your introduction was so you do have a handful of certifications. I do like to highlight people's certifications on the show. So you have the CISSP, CEH, Pentest Plus, CISA Plus, Security Plus, and you have a MetaSploit Pro Specialist. I guess quickly, can you talk about the MetaSploit Pro Specialist? Because I've never heard of that. I'm actually just kind of curious on what that is and what your take is on that.
So we wanted to do with one of the organizations I worked for in the private sector. They originally had Core Impact by Help Systems or Fortra, And they I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of Core Impact, but we want to move on to a better automation, penetration automation process, and we decided on MetaSploit Pro after a lot of demos and a lot of just reading. And so what they did was they offered MetaSploit Pro, and they offered a course on MetaSploit Pro on how to use MetaSploit Pro to dump hashes, to do privilege escalation, to do lateral movement. MetaSploit Pro has quite a few modules that are different and that are distinct from Metasploit. So they offer a lot more functionality, and so the course was like it was like a 2 week course, and they basically go through every single step of Metasploit and give you ideas of how to use Metasploit, and especially Metasploit Pro, obviously. And I got the certification along with my team to and how to use Metasploit Pro to basically help find the for me it was automating the low hanging fruit, or finding or discovering the low hanging fruit, and that was helpful for me to do that. And then once we found some vectors to exploit, we use Metasploit Pro, or we use other tools like at that time CrackMapExec, or Secret Stump, other tools. We used other tools to further exploit those vectors, and that's how we got the certification for Metasploit Pro.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so I didn't know there was like certifications for it because like I obviously, well, I guess it's not obvious, but I use MetaSploit all the time as a penetration tester. I just didn't know there was any certifications for it, so that's good to know. Do you think that's like worth something to pursue, or do you have to like purchase Pro to like be a specialist in it, or can anybody just like is it like an exam or is it training? Like how does that look like?
It's an exam, and there's training for it, and I believe you can actually sign up for the exam. I think it's like $200. Um, I'm not, I don't know, I don't remember anymore. It was a long time ago, many years ago. But basically, you sign up for the exam, you sign up for the course, you go through the course, and you learn the intricacies of Metasploit Pro and how to use it. You learn all about the modules and how to modify or supplement those modules with other features from Metasploit Pro, and basically you take the exam, and you have to obviously pass it, and then before you get the certification. And the exam was fairly easy, I think. But it was a practical exam, somewhat. So part practical, part multiple choice.
Okay, nice, nice. I mean, I was so excited to dive into this conversation that I actually forgot to highlight your education background too. So you have a master's in information assurance, and you also have a bachelor's degree in information technology. So um, that's that's nice. I think education. I mean, there's definitely a debate on like whether college degrees are worth in cybersecurity. I'm like I said, I'm going through my bachelor's degree as well, and I think it's um, nice to have a good education background, although I understand why it wouldn't be for everybody. Um, so now I want to direct your attention to um, our rapid fire session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you 5 questions related to cybersecurity. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer them. So when you answer these, just say the first thing that comes to your mind. One, maybe a few words for each response, and don't provide any explanation to them because we gotta get through them. And if you get through all 5 questions in 30 seconds, I'm going to ask you a bonus question that is actually unrelated to cybersecurity. So let me pull my stopwatch here. And so your time will start when I finish uh, speaking on the first question. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Favorite programming language?
Python. I prefer Python because it's a language that I've been using for since 2014, and I've used it for many different uh, features that Python offers, and it's the easiest language for me. And that's my favorite programming language.
Biggest misconception about hackers. You can skip if you want to.
Biggest misconception about hackers is that no, it's all right. Biggest misconception is that we are cowboys in the Wild West, and we basically do anything that we want to do when we want to do it, and we don't follow a refined approach to penetration testing or red teaming. And that's nothing could be further from the truth. We do a lot of due diligence in terms of what we do and how we do it, and so that will be the biggest misconception that I think there are some cowboys out there or cowgirls, but really they're I think more often than not that's not the case.
Best career advice you received in cybersecurity.
Best career advice I've received in cybersecurity, that's a hard one. I would say um, keep on learning. You got to keep on learning, and you got to make learning a lifelong event and a lifelong process. And to more than anything else, just keep on learning and practice even on your off time. You got to remain relevant in this industry to be on top of it. And so learning is the top way to do that.
Most overused cybersecurity buzzword.
I would say zero trust. Zero trust
Favorite
is being used. Yeah, zero trust is being used a lot, and it's a great concept, but it's very difficult to employ and to implement.
favorite training platform.
Hack the box, 100%. There's a few other ones, but Hack the Box is my favorite one.
We did not do that in 30 seconds. That was actually 2 minutes, 32 seconds, but that's okay. Your explanations were very insightful, so I do appreciate your responses to all those questions. I guess the what I want to talk about is, um, yeah, let's dive into the most overused cybersecurity buzzword. So, why do you think zero trust is a cybersecurity buzzword, and why do you think, um, I guess, like, why does no one know like what zero trust is, and why is it used inappropriately, like when it comes up in conversations?
Well, zero trust is somewhat nebulous in terms of how to implement zero trust and what zero trust really is. And zero trust uh, basically is to deny everything, deny but verify, or verify that someone has actual access or an account has actual access to a specific platform or device or application. And zero trust is really very integral to today's operations. I saw it become a buzzword back in the 2000s, not 2000, 2020, sorry. Around 2020 is when I saw it gain a lot of prominence in the cybersecurity industry. And so then everybody started saying zero trust this, zero trust that, and they started kind of going to zero trust and forgetting the other concepts of cybersecurity, saying that zero trust has to be implemented in the organization or in the enterprise, without really fully understanding how zero trust is implemented in the first place, and without uh, regarding the other concepts of cybersecurity like defense in depth or penetration testing for that matter, because penetration testing actually does uh, help validate your zero trust concept, make sure that it actually does work. Because if you can actually get past through zero trust architecture on a specific infrastructure, you are actually bypassing that zero trust concept.
Good response. Yeah, I totally agree. Like zero trust is that's the buzzword I think of when I see that question. Like I'm like, what is zero trust and how do you implement? Like it sounds good in theory, but at the same time, it's like how is this implemented practically? And no one really has a good answer to that. Um, so yeah, totally agree with you there. So I'm gonna rewind our attention back to your background a little bit because I'm actually really curious on how what advantage has your intelligence background given you during your cybersecurity career? And like, how does that compare to someone who is in cybersecurity who doesn't have an intelligence background?
My intelligence career in the beginning didn't really help me out that much, although I was actually deploying signals intelligence platforms out at sea, and so we were using those for intercept for signals interception, and for that I had to learn a lot of system administration, especially a lot of trace route. So basically, to manage the hops on a system to see where we can do the actual configuration management and to do the troubleshooting. So we did a lot of that type of stuff, or I did a lot of that type of stuff before in my early career, and then in my latter part of the career, I actually went to I actually started doing more cyber threat intelligence, and doing offensive security with a specific agency, three letter agency, and we were actually that's where I really got involved. I had to have certifications. I had to have the CEH. I had to have the CSSP, and for that program, and that was at that time. That was in 2005. So back then, OSCP wasn't a big deal. All these other certifications, there was no CPTS, there was no PNPT, there was nothing like that. And the GIAC courses weren't really prominent as they are now. So I had to get the CSSP and the CEH, and I'm not a big fan of the CEH, but that was those were the two certifications that were required, and they got me involved in actual APT hunting, advanced persistent threats, and that's how I got involved in learning about vectors, exploitation, to how in terms of how to exploit those vectors, how to extract intelligence information about TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures of an APT, of an advanced persistent threat, and try to manipulate and exploit those specific TTPs to our advantage, to what we were doing at that time. That really got me involved. Getting the certifications and getting that experience got me involved in penetration testing and red teaming, where ultimately those certifications over at around 2013 got me a red team lead position based on my experience and my certifications with another government agency.
Nice. So you mentioned that your intelligence background didn't help a lot towards the beginning of your response. So, quickly, on a scale from 1 to 10, how similar is intelligence and cybersecurity to each other?
That's a hard question to answer, but I would say that uh, it depends on what kind of intelligence you're pursuing or you're addressing or focused on. Uh, Initially, we were back in my active duty days. We pursued different types of intelligence, including terrorism-related intelligence. But mostly for my job, I was more focused on cybersecurity, specific incidents, and specific intelligence. And so, based on that experience, I would say that that was very. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, that was like about a 5 or 6 of relevance to what I'm doing now, because I learned a lot about cyber threat intelligence, or CTI, and how to employ that specific intelligence or that specific information to work on these topics, TTPs, APTs, stuff like that.
Okay. So I want to direct your attention to what you're doing more today, and that's being a red team leader. So what is the biggest difference between a penetration tester and a senior penetration tester?
So usually, I thought you were going with what's the difference between penetration tester and red teamer, but I will answer that question too. Penetration tester, a regular penetration tester, knows basic vectors for exploitation. They may have specific knowledge about how to address or how to exploit specific vectors that are out there. Uh, many of them are CVEs or Microsoft specific uh, uh, vulnerabilities, like MS-17010 or MS-17 or other ones that are out there. So you would know how to exploit those. You would know basic MF commands. A senior penetration tester would know more about how to use exploit code, how to leverage programming like Python languages or other languages that are out there. They will be more familiar with scripting, whether it's PowerShell or Bash, and they would know more advanced concepts of penetration testing. It gets kind of murky when we start talking about how to uh, bypass AV and EDR, endpoint detection and response, but that goes more to red team, and using C2 is more red team type of capability. Senior penetration tester may not know those specific functionalities, but they would know programming concepts and would know how to create programs specific to the environment that they are attacking.
This is actually a question that I'm curious on because I am right now I work as a penetration tester, and I'm kind of curious on your take on like career progression to the senior penetration tester level. So, to someone who wants to jump from a penetration tester to a senior penetration tester, what's the most important factor in a promotion or switching to a different organization with more responsibilities? Is it time and experience, leadership management skills, or is it technical skills?
Honestly, I think it's all three. You have to have. You can't just be. For the most part, this is based on job descriptions that are out there that I've seen over and over again, and based on my own experience. They required these positions for senior penetration testers required for the most part CISSP. How relevant is CISSP for penetration testing? I don't think it's relevant at all. But this is based on what I've seen in the past and in my current situation. You have people with CSSP that are considered managers or system certified information security manager certification. So they have the management skills to manage a robust team of penetration testers. So that will be number one right there. Will be having that specific certification and or a master's degree in a cybersecurity related field. So those two right there would help transition someone from a regular penetration tester to a senior penetration tester. Another thing that would help transition a penetration tester to senior status would be to have years of experience doing different types of penetration tests, whether it's network penetration testing, web application penetration testing, API penetration testing, or ICS, SCADA, or IoT penetration testing. Someone that has well-rounded skills that they can actually talk to would help them transition from a regular penetration tester role to a senior penetration tester role. somebody who is well-rounded in all aspects of penetration testing can actually help them transition from that role to the senior status. And those are the two things I think you need. Once you have that in your background, once you have that experience, you can actually transition to that role and become more of a manager. Which I don't know if many people are wanting to be a manager of a team. They want to just pen test, and I see that in a lot of places, including my own current situation, where I see we have a pen tester there that all he wants to do is do penetration testing, and I understand that, but you have to eventually be a manager. Learn how to do reports. Report writing is like crucial. You got to really have that down pat, and learning how to write ROEs, rules of engagement, and SOPs, standard operating procedure for all your penetration tests. So those things are annoying to do, but they are a necessity in this field.
Right, yeah, report writing that, like, especially if you work for a client, like that's the product that you're delivering, and I um definitely agree with you there, like how important report writing is. So
Especially as a consultant. I've been a consultant uh, for for several years with different companies, and it's really it's a difficult challenge because you're dealing with different customers with different environments every single time, and every single time it's a new challenge. And so the report is what is the commonality between all those different clients. The report represents who you are and what you're trying to say, and it represents the impact that your penetration testing is doing for that organization. I like to say, personally, I like to say that I don't get paid to do penetration testing. I get paid for the report. I've heard that before somewhere, but I don't know who I can attribute that to. But that's something that I've maintained for many years. It's an axiom. It's a maxim that I've used for many years, and I maintain that is really the key feature that really differentiates you from other penetration testers.
as a team lead of penetration testers and red teamers, um, I'm assuming your technical skills are like they start to deteriorate. Is that a bad thing? Like, is it important to keep your technical skills sharp when you're in a leadership type position, or is it okay to like let them deteriorate a little bit and focus more on the management aspect of pen testing and red teaming?
So you're right. They do deteriorate. My skills atrophy a little bit. Um, but I maintain my skills. It's unfortunate, really, because you only have 8 hours in a day to do your actual job. But in order for me to maintain my skills, I have to do extra hours and do hack the box or proving grounds from offsec offensive security, and I have to maintain those skills there. But I don't think that you should let your skills atrophy too much. You need to maintain a stable relevance to your specific field, and it's hard to lead without having that knowledge and having and being able to represent your team on technical exchange meetings or any other type of executive meetings without knowing the material very well. So it's okay to let some of your skills atrophy a little bit, or 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 kind of go down a little bit, but you can't let them go down a lot. You got to keep the skills up, and unfortunately, when you're a manager, uh, you rarely have time during your regular 8 hour day to maintain those skills. So you have to look at the weekends or after hours to actually maintain those skills. I hate to say that, but that's an unfortunate truth.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, and yeah, I do. Uh, I mean, I'm not a manager, but I do aspire to like be like a leader. And I do not want my technical skills to go away, because I mean that's kind of like what got me in the field and to begin with, was my technical skills. And I the technical aspect is like one of the more fun aspects in my opinion. So yeah, I can see what you're saying there.
I will say that for what I do right now as a leader, as a manager, and for what I've done in the past, a big part of being a manager was actually doing training. And so me and I was a lead adjunct instructor for University of Michigan at one point for ethical hacking, and I used my skills as a teacher to train my teams uh, and maintain my skills by training. By teaching, I actually reinforce concepts that are used over and over again in penetration testing. So that really helps me out a lot. And a lot of times you don't have a team of senior um, penetration testers working for you. You have a team of junior to mid-level penetration testers. So you have to do training, and so that really reinforces the concepts so they don't atrophy.
Okay, okay. So we're running out of time, so I'm going to direct your attention to our final question. Do you have any cybersecurity hot takes or hidden wisdom you'd like to share?
Hot takes or hidden wisdom. I would say there's several things that I'm thinking about, but one of them is when you're learning and when you're training, you should train to learn new techniques and to become better at your job rather than training to complete or certify in a specific course. You want to ultimately certify. You ultimately want to get a certification, CRTO, OSCP. Those are the big ones I think for me. I like CPTS as well, but you want to learn new techniques and become better at your job, and then through that process you can actually certify in the end, because if you're just learning to pass an exam, you're not really retaining that information and you're not really using the logic behind the attacks that you're trying to employ on your penetration test or your red team engagement. So I would say keep on learning, and learn to become better at your job, because that in the end that is what you're trying to do, is be a better penetration tester, red teamer, and if you do that, the other certifications will come by. I mean, they'll you will get those certifications. And the other thing I want to mention is uh, be a good note taker. Use a note taking app. Uh, there's several apps out there. There's Obsidian, there's Notion, and there's another one called Capacities. I started out When I started out, I used Cherry Tree, um, but not many people remember Cherry Tree, and not many people are fond of Cherry Tree. But I did start out with that. I have so many notes on Cherry Tree. I'm still converting them to Obsidian and Notion and Capacities for different reasons. I use different apps, but be a good note taker and try to write down your techniques in a logical manner so you can refer back to them in the future when you're actually doing a penetration test.
Wow, that was actually really good advice, because how you said like don't train to get the certification, train to get better at your job. And I think that's really powerful, because honestly, like admittedly, like I think I fall in that trap sometimes too. I'm like, oh, I want to get this next cert, and then you train to get the certification, and then I guess from my perspective, it's like, oh, I train to get the certification, and then I figure out how to apply that to my job. And maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. Maybe I need to get better at my job and then apply that to the certification. So I'm definitely gonna rope that advice right into my training and into my job. So I really do appreciate you for that. Um, so yeah, that was the final question. So man, what a good hidden wisdom. I appreciate that. So if the audience would like to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Uh, if the audience, you're asking me if the audience was to get a hold of me.
Yeah, if they want to connect with you.
Oh, they can connect with me through LinkedIn. I don't know my LinkedIn offhand, but I'm sure you can post it in there somewhere. But it's Adolfo Vask. I go by Val, and you can find me. I think I'm the only Vask on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn will be the best way to get a hold of me. And I'm more than happy to connect with anybody and talk about penetration testing and red teaming. I connect with a lot of my peers already through LinkedIn and through hacker associations. I actually belong to Fredericksburg Hackers over in Virginia, and that's a really, becoming part of an organization of an association of penetration testers and hackers. It's a really good thing to do. So, but ultimately, either get a hold of me through LinkedIn or through Discord. I'm Crackerjacks, and you can look up Crackerjacks with leet spelling, and you can find me there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so for me, for the audience, as I close out here, so the best way to get a hold of me is also LinkedIn and my website, kyserclark.com. Val, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. It was a great conversation. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I really do appreciate you taking the time and doing this discussion with me. And I'm confident that the audience will appreciate this conversation as well. So yeah, audience, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn and check my website, kyserclark.com. And whatever platform you are consuming this episode on, do me a favor, leave a review. I really would. I really value constructive criticism and feedback. So let me know what you want to see on the show going forward. And hopefully I see you on the next episode. Until then, peace out. Take care. Have a good one. Kyser.